everyone, it's Victoria Vickery here from All Star Marketing Club. Now, some of you will know that recently Google Analytics has changed. So no longer can you use Google Analytics in its original format. They now have GA4. GA4 is the only one that is now collecting data for your website so that you can track things like traffic and the performance, etc. I'm not going to go into too much detail about this because today I have got a website and SEO expert here with me, the lovely Tom Perkins from Evolve Websites. Tom, before we start, just tell us a little bit about you, because the way you work with your clients is very different to many other web designers. So just tell us a little bit about Evolve Websites.
Yeah, so basically I design and build and optimize websites that generate leads for small businesses. So that's where I focus. I don't do e-commerce, I don't do membership sites, I don't do training sites, just service-based businesses that want their website to generate leads. So as you said, I do websites slightly differently to most in that I charge a fixed price subscription for my websites. And that includes everything the client needs. So they start at $129 a month. It includes the design and build of the website, the hosting, the support, the maintenance. But importantly, I include updates as well. So all my plans include updates. So that means clients can, I'm there to help my clients. They've already paid for it. They can just give me a call, drop me an email, and then I help them whatever they need, whether we're changing the design, adding pages, adding content. That's all included in the plans. And then I also offer dedicated SEO services as well. So that tends to be on an hourly rate, tends to start at £300–400 a month, something like that for larger clients. And that's all around obviously optimizing their website, making sure they're getting found for the things they want to be found for, and increasing visitors and inquiries.
Because if you're not on page 1 of Google, you're very unlikely to get found. So the SEO side is really important. It's all well and good having a website there, but if you've got no traffic coming to it, it's almost useless, isn't it? Exactly. Absolutely. All right, let's get into GA4.
Cool.
So I'm going to hand over to Tom. He's going to explain to you a lot more about GA4 and also tell you how you can move forward and get this installed onto your website so that you can start making sure you do that all-important tracking on your website to make sure that it's performing well and you continue to be able to do everything you need to do on your website so that you're attracting leads and customers. So over to Tom.
Cool. So as you said, Google is switching off Universal Analytics. That has switched off now. So that was July 2023. They've launched Google Analytics 4, which is the new version. And that's been running for a few years. So for all my clients, for example, they were running both together, and you can do that. You can tell your website to send data to Universal Analytics and to GA4. Now that's not so relevant because Universal Analytics is no longer gathering data. So you have 12 months left. So July 2024 is when they completely switch off the Universal Analytics. For the next 12 months, you will still be able to look at all your old data. So how many visitors you had per month up to July 2023. But after that point, that data will disappear. What you need to do, if you haven't already, is obviously install Google Analytics on your website so that your Google Analytics is tracking how many visitors are coming to your website using Google Analytics 4. The first thing to do really is to check whether your website already has Google Analytics code on it. So if we look at All Star Marketing, the easiest thing to do is to view the source for the website. Now to do that, I'm in Firefox. I go to, where do I go? I think I go Tools, Browser Tools, and then Page Source. And that opens up this page here. They can view all the code on your website. If you're in Google Chrome, then you would go to View, Developer, and View Source, or it may just be in View and View Source for you. I've got these developer tools in there.
You can right-click on the website as well, right, Tom, to go to View Source?
You can. There you go. View Page Source. You can indeed. Yeah. Yeah. So when you come onto the website, you'll see all the code here, and you can see if you scroll down, you can see here we've got some Google Analytics code here. And we've also got some Google Analytics code here. Now, the reason we've got two lots is that you can see the UA in this property ID. So UA stands for Universal Analytics. So that's the tracking code for your Universal Analytics, which is now redundant. So that could be removed. It's not going to be a problem if it stays there, but it's not doing anything anymore. This here then, with this new tag starting G- rather than UA-, this is your new Google Analytics 4 tag. So you can see here that Victoria's already added this to the site. So the site is already gathering data. The other way you can check if you already have a Google Analytics 4 property set up in Google Analytics is you can go into your Analytics property. So you log into Google Analytics and you can see whether you're gathering data. So you can see here, we are gathering data on how many people are visiting every day. So we can see that's working as it should be. But for the sake of this video, let's imagine that we don't have that set up yet. So if that's the case, if you don't have analytics on your site at all, the first thing to do is to create a new property. So you need to create somewhere for that data to go. So you log into Google Analytics or you create a free account with Google Analytics. You come down here to admin, and then we're going to set this up here, and I've got multiple properties here, but all we're going to do here in the middle here, we'll go create property. And we're then going to give it a name. So we'll say example GA4 website. This is fine, United Kingdom, leave that exactly as it is. We're going to say small business, we're going to choose an industry. So we'll just say business and industrial. We're then going to say, what do we want to do on our website? And this just allows Google to kind of optimize the way it presents data based on what it thinks is most important to you. So if you've got an e-commerce business, obviously drive online sales. For most of the businesses I deal with, they're service-based businesses that want to generate leads. So we'll tick that one. We then come on to start collecting data. Now, GA4 can collect data from apps, but for this scenario, we're just talking about websites. So we'll click on web, and it says, right, what's your website address? So you type in your website address there. Obviously, it's not domain.com. For the sake of this, we'll type in domain.com. And then you give that a name. So we're going to say, that's our example website. We've then got something called enhanced measurement here. And you can see that's on by default. And all that does is it tracks some extra things, which are quite useful. So things like outbound clicks or video engagement or file downloads or form interactions. So we'll leave that on because that's really useful information. We want to gather as much information as possible, really. And then we just click create stream. Now, what it then does is it gives us this information on how to add the required code to our website. So you can see here, we could install it manually. And you can see this code here is exactly the same code that we saw on All-Star Marketing, this bit just here. So if you know how to install it manually, so if you're happy, editing the code on your website, on your page templates, then by all means, copy that, paste it into the header section of your website, and you're away. All you then need to do is just wait a couple of days, and then data will start feeding through into your property. For a lot of people, they don't really want to dig into code and templates. So the best way to do that is, this is what you need here. This is a really important bit. This is the measurement ID. So if you take a note of that, okay? And then the All-Star Marketing website is built using WordPress. Obviously, there's lots and lots of different content management systems that people use to build websites, and we can't possibly go into all of them. So we're going to work with WordPress. It's the most common, most popular. So what you need to do is log into your WordPress control panel, and then you just need to go down to plugins and add new. Now, again, there's lots of different plugins that you can use to add code, to add analytics tracking code to your website. But one that I really like is Google Sitekit. So this is a plugin that's actually developed by Google to allow you to add Google Analytics 4 tracking code into your WordPress website.
And Tom, is this available for other types of systems? So not just WordPress. So if somebody's using something else, is this Sitekit going to be able to be used for that as well?
I don't think it is. There is, let's have a look. So there is a section, if we go back into Google Analytics, there is a section here where Google talks about various different tools and plugins you can use to work with a Drupal website, for example, or a Squarespace website or a Shopify website. So if you're on any of those, then you can probably do that. To be honest, if you're on any of those, I mean, Squarespace excluded, if you're on some of those, they're more technical content management system, so you've probably got a developer or you're very comfortable working with code, in which case you'd probably do it manually rather than install a plugin. Plugins tends to be a bit of a WordPress thing. So we've installed that plugin on WordPress. We just need to activate it. Okay, so now we just need to go into your SiteKit settings. So we'll click on Go to Dashboard. I think when you install this for the first time, it will take you straight into a setup screen. But we can go into that manually if we go to, there we go, SiteKit settings. So let's do that. Let's just show how to do that. So we can go to Analytics, and we will edit that. Okay, so what it will do when you first install it, it will take you into the setup screen, and it will just ask you to log into your Google Analytics account. So the same information that you normally use to log into Analytics, you would log in, and it will then say, right, what accounts do you have? And you can see here, this one's already picked up All-Star Marketing. So you just need to select that new property that you created within Analytics. All you need to do is just choose that new property in here. If you want it to place your code, and this is the important bit, then you need to tick this box. You need to turn that on to say, yes, I want you to put this SiteKit plugin, I want that to put the code onto my website for me. In this case, you can see it's already detected that there's already a tag, some Google tracking code on your website. So we don't want to do that because it's going to add 2 lots of tracking code, and that's unnecessary.
Yeah, so that's only because I've already got the code on my site. So anybody who doesn't have the code, they would just need to toggle that over and it would automatically do it for them. Yes, exactly. They would toggle that over. It would probably be on there automatically. I think because it's detected that you've got code there, it's probably turned that off. I suspect that would be on by default. But yeah, you need to make sure that's on. What you can then also do, it also allows you to let's go cancel that. It also allows you to connect your Google Search Console property, which is probably a topic for another video. But Search Console basically gives you lots of information, as I'm sure lots of your customers will know. Gives you lots of information about. Analytics tells you exactly how many people are visiting your website. Search Console gives you information about how they find your website, what search terms they use, obviously when searching in Google, to find your website. So for things more leaning towards SEO, Search Console gives some really, really good information. And you can also connect it. Sorry, Tom, it's also a really good place, isn't it, to go and work out if your site's being crawled properly and Google is picking up all the pages and that kind of thing, which, as you say, is a subject for another day, but it is a good little thing to get your hands on. Oh, it's amazing. I mean, this is what I say to my clients. Like, if you have a problem with your website, Google aren't going to phone you up and say, "Hi, Victoria, it's Tom from Google. Just wanted to let you know you have a slight problem." They don't do that. You know, they've got too many websites on the web. But what they do is put messages in Search Console. So if you have a problem exactly with one of your pages not being able to be crawled, the other really interesting thing with Search Console is to go into the kind of visibility section of Search Console and look at which pages are indexed and which ones aren't. And that's cool because quite often people think, well, I've got 300 pages on my website. Why wouldn't Google know about all those pages? And actually, if you go into Search Console for your website, sometimes you can see, well, we've added 150 of these, like indexed them, added them to our index is what the word they use. But for 150 pages, which could be really good blog posts that you've spent, weeks writing, Google could just not have indexed it. So you can then go in and request that they index those pages manually. It's almost like you've just been looking at my Google console, Tom. So that's how we add the code in there. Once you do that, you will then also get quite a nice little widget that appears on your WordPress dashboard here. So these are all the usual bits, but if we scroll down here, actually we can move this, let's move this up here. You can see it gives you a summary of your analytics information on WordPress without even having to then log into analytics as well. So it tells you how many visitors you've had, average time on page, impressions, clicks, etc. It tells you your popular pages. And then if you come over here to click into SiteKit dashboard,
then you can also see a load more information once that loads, to see again how many visitors you've had, which channels they've used to access your website, the search traffic, search queries. So this is coming from Search Console now. So this tells you, yes, there's the obvious ones, your brand searches, but also things like, inner circle coaching, some really good terms that you may want to kind of double down on and make sure you're doing really well for those. And it tells you top pages as well. I'm sure Victoria doesn't mind us sharing all our website data with the whole world. So that's how we do it in summary. That's how we establish whether we've got analytics code already on our website or not. To see whether it's tracking or not, go into analytics and see whether that property is gathering data. If you haven't even done any of that yet, then you can create a new property, a new GA4 property in analytics very, very easily. And once you've done that, you then need to add the code to your website so that it will track the data. You can either do that manually, as I explained, or you can, if you're in WordPress, you can use a plugin like Google Sitekit. And then, as I say, if it's new tracking code, give it a few days. And then after a couple of days, you should see data start to feed through into your Google Analytics. And then the world is your oyster with what you can do with that data. Does that all make sense?
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Tom, we've talked a lot about GA4 today, and obviously the intricacies of getting it onto everybody's properties. They can start to enjoy the benefits of it. Of course, for some people, it's one thing getting the code in there, but if they're not getting the traffic and their website's not up to standard, that's going to have an impact in itself. So if anyone watching today is looking for some support with building and updating and maintaining and a new website, what can you help them with? Tell us a little bit about how they can work with you.
So there's a couple of ways. The first is one of my website plans. So as I mentioned at the beginning, I offer website subscriptions. They start at $129 a month. That includes everything. There's no upfront cost, and that includes everything the client needs. So the design, the build, the hosting, the support, the maintenance, and the updates. So quite often, it will always be a new site. I don't take on existing sites. It will always be a new site, but we can keep as much of the current site as the client wants. So if there's bits they love about their site, quite often they want to change it, which is why they're coming to me. But if there's bits they love, we can always bring that across. We can incorporate that into the new site. But that basically gives us a blank sheet of paper that we can work with, and we can say, right, what's the best way to do this? What's working? What's not working? How do we want to improve? So that's the new site. From there on, because I include updates, it can be quite a fluid relationship. Because I always say done is better than perfect, and a website is never perfect ever. It's certainly not perfect when we launch. We get it as good as we can, but I think it's useful to have the mindset that it's not perfect. It's as good as we can get it now, but tomorrow we'll improve it, and next week we'll improve it again, and next month we'll improve it. So with that mindset, my clients can just have ideas, phone me up. Tom, can we do this? What do you think about this? And we can try stuff. And after a year or two, the website's not recognizable from the one we started with. Whereas,
that's great though. That's brilliant, because when you think about it, it's looking at things like Google Console, it's looking at Google Analytics, as we just talked about GA4. That's all the stuff that helps to inform what the website should be doing. And of course, meanwhile, they're going to be speaking to their customers. They're going to be learning about new things that their customers want and things that they need to change about the terminology or the messaging that they're using. And that's the beauty, because a website, you're right, is never done. And if you do go for that once and done approach, you'll be in trouble because it has to evolve.
Yeah, exactly. Nicely done. I see what you did there.
Did you see that? Evolve website.
Yeah, nicely done. And then the other part of what I do is the SEO. And I love that. Quite often I say to clients, a lot of clients seem to have, understandably, a fairly dim view of SEO, as in there's a lot of spammy SEO people around, and a lot of spammy practices and all that stuff. But actually, the way I look at it, and I tend to kind of take the more organic, natural approach rather than the real spammy, hacky stuff. But the way I kind of view it is actually like you owe it to your customers to make sure they can find you. Like you do a good job for your customers. If your website can't be found on Google or the services you offer, if you're not coming up in those searches, they're going to end up one of your competitors that I'm sure aren't as good as you. So you owe it to them to make sure you're in the mix, you're in consideration. So, that really, I see quite often that changes clients' views of SEO, because all of a sudden they're like, Oh, I get it.
I totally agree with that. And that's what I say to people when they're thinking about selling as well. No, you owe it to your customers or your potential customers to remind them of you. Otherwise, are they going to be better with or without you? And if the answer's with you, you owe it to them to be in front of them.
And if the answer's without you, then you want to have a serious look at your business. That's not wrong. But so SEO always comes down to content. There's site stuff, there's technical stuff, but 9 times out of 10 it comes down to content. It comes down to producing really good content around those topics, using insights like Search Console to understand, right, what are our customers looking for? Or that blog post we wrote is fantastic, but it's not optimized for the right searches because no one's searching for the thing you optimized it for. So it's kind of having that insight and then putting that into practice.
Absolutely. Brilliant. So website design, maintenance, updates, all of that stuff, plus SEO. So if you want SEO done for you, you are the man for the job. I love the approach you take, Tom, that people can pay monthly. I mean, that's the way the world works now, isn't it? Budgeting is what people do. People pay monthly for almost everything these days. So it's a really, really good way of being able to get access to a brand new all bells and whistles website and not have to, load the cost in up front. So love the approach that you've got there.
Thank you. The other thing I should mention is my website review. So I do offer free website reviews. So if any of your clients are struggling with their website or not happy with their current developer or any of those situations, or just want a second pair of eyes and a second opinion on stuff, then by all means, evolvewebsites.co/review. Or just go to evolvewebsites.co and they can get a free review there. I'm happy to put it together for them.
Superb. And that's a really good first start, actually, because they can actually see how they're performing. Because at the end of the day, your website, whether you're using it for lead generation or whether you're using it as kind of more of a content and informational platform, it is your shop window. And if you don't put your best foot forward there and let people know, what you stand for, what you help them with, and how you move them to their happily ever after, they're not going to buy from you. So I think that's a really great first step for people to understand whether their website's actually performing as it should in the first place. So that's a really great offer. Thank you, Tom.
Good, welcome.
So that's it here from us, Tom and I, on GA4 and all things websites. Please feel free to get in contact with Tom directly if you need any support. And of course, for all your marketing, training and coaching needs, that was me, Victoria Vickery, over and out. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.